Hello everybody. Last class we talked about how to make scatter plots and trend lines by hand. When we make our scatter plots and we all make a different trend line inside of that scatter plot, we end up with slightly different results for the trend lines equation and therefore slightly different predictions. One way, there are two that we're going to discuss, one way to get the same line from every student is to use the graphing calculator. So I'm going to follow the steps that I gave you in class. The sheet looks something like this. I'm going to follow this. You're going to follow along this page while I'm doing the calculator functions. So if we were to turn on the calculator, make sure that you're on a cleared out home screen. I want you to follow the first step, which says go to stat. So if I push stat, notice that edit is already highlighted for you. So if I hit enter where edit is highlighted, I end up with two lists, and there's already numbers in there from a previous use. So what you're going to do is you're going to go up to L1 using your directional arrow, hit clear, and then hit enter. Clears out the list. I'm going to arrow over and up to list 2, hit clear, and then hit enter, and that will clear out the list for you. I'm going to arrow over to my L1, and I'm going to begin to enter my independent variables data, my domain. I'm going to use the exact same problem that we did in the previous class. We had an example of a secretary or a typist and the number of weeks experience in that job. And then we had the subsequent speed of that secretary or typist in words per minute. And we had discussed in class the fact that once we saw the graph, we saw that there was certainly a positive correlation between these quantities. As the number of weeks experience went up, the speed went up as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to enter the X values or the domain into list 1, and the way that you do that is to tap the value. It comes out at the bottom. Once you hit enter, it puts itself into the list. So I'm going to go ahead and take a minute and type in this data in the order that it comes in, not in numerical order. And then I'm going to arrow over, which brings me to the top of list 2, and I'm going to enter in my range, or my Y data. Okay, so at this point, I'm almost done. I'm going to go to I'm going to set up my plot. So I want to go to stat plot, which is in the, can you see my finger there? Yep, so which is above the Y equals button. So I'm going to hit second Y equals, and notice that right now plot 1 is highlighted. I'm going to hit enter. It says plot 1 is highlighted, but it's not on yet. The blinky dot is on, so we're going to hit enter, and then we're going to go down. Right now it's giving you several choices of graphs. For example, I see a bar graph, and I see a stem and leaf plot. I want to make sure that first scatter plot is highlighted. It acknowledges that your X list is in list 1, that your Y list is in list 2, and sorry, I had my alpha button pushed for some reason. And then at the bottom it shows you the markings that you can let be the data points on your graph, whether you have the donut or the plus sign or the dot. The donut is the one that shows up best, so I'm going to go with that. I'm on the last bullet in my instructions of the first set of instructions, and it tells you to go to zoom 9. We're typically used to going to the standard zoom window, but it's not going to help us to see 10 to 10 when we have numbers so big. So what we're going to do is go to zoom stat, which is the 9th option, which zooms in on the statistics that we've provided. So if I hit enter, you're going to take a good look at the scatter plot from last class. Now, to be honest, I'm looking at this and I feel like there were 2 points that were like one beneath the other, so I fear that I've made a mistake. So if I'm going to check my data, I'm just going to go back to where I was, stat, and edit, and double check my points. 4, 7, 8, 1, 6, 3, 5, 2, 9, 6, 7, 10. Okay, my X's are fine. Going back to my Y's. Yep, I did forget a number. I forgot 40. I typed in 0. There you go. So good thing I caught that. Let me just check the rest. Looking good. Okay, so I'm going to go back to that graph. And there they are, the two dots that were above one another, making it not a function, failing the vertical line test. I'm going to have you take a look at your instructions and notice that what I've done here is put sort of a dividing line between the first set of instructions and the second. This set of instructions is just what I showed you about how to make the scatter plot. The second part is going to be about how to make the trend line. Notice that I did add in a bullet, you should add that as well, where it says clear out the Y equals screen. So we're going to start with that. So we're going to go from our scatter plot to our Y equals. Notice that your plot 1 is highlighted. I told you last class not to highlight plot 1 on the calculator if you were making a line because the plot would interfere. But here we're using the plot to make the line, so it's different. So we want that on. Once you have that on, you're going to go ahead and press quit, which is above the mode button, and you access that by hitting second and quit. Right now, if there's something on your home screen, you're going to want to clear that out. Mine is already clear. And then I'm going to press stat. Instead of editing my statistics, which is what I did last time, now I want to calculate with the statistics, so I'm going to use my right-hand arrow. I want to go down to the 4th selection. The kind of trend line that we're looking at today, and the way you want to title your notes for today, is the linear regression trend line, which will come out in AX plus B form, which is the same as MX plus B. On this version of the calculator, hitting linreg AX plus B will import that phrase to the home screen that you've just cleared out. And what you need to do on this calculator is type in list 1, comma, list 2. So L1 is found above the number 1. So for this calculator, I'm going to hit second L1, and then the comma, which you can't see clearly on my calculator because it's a little rubbed off, but it's above the 7, and then L2, so second 2. If I hit enter, it's going to give me my AX plus B or MX plus B, where the A value is 3.96. I'll write that right here. A is 3.96. X plus, and my B is here, 16.70. Let's say I wanted the hundredths place. I'm going to show you quickly though, because as we saw, some of the functions are a little different in each calculator. So if I come back to the other calculator that we've seen, and we go to stat, and we go to calculate, and we go down to linreg, it looks a little different. So if I hit enter, it looks like this instead. So you're going to actually go down to the word calculate and hit enter. So you don't actually need to type in the L1, L2 if you have this kind of calculator. But notice that the A and the B are the same, and you're going to put it right into that linreg. I'm going to continue with the first calculator because there's no difference between them after this moment. I don't think, so I'll check, but we'll do it in both. So now at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to go to y equals. Okay, so by the way, this is the main idea, right? We have the equation, and if the question on a test or a homework is just to find the linear regression line in the calculator, you've done it, write it down, you're finished. But if we want to actually have that finished moment of seeing the line in the picture, in the scatter plot, we're going to follow these last set of steps. So I'm actually going to draw a line. Hold on one second. I'm going to draw a line here and show you that this is the set of steps. So this step was to make the trend line. Now this is to sort of put them together. So I'm going to go to y equals now. We've already cleared out that home screen. And this time we're going to hit vars, which is next to the clear button. If I hit vars, I'm going to go down to step 5, which is statistics. And I'm going to hit enter. Again, these last set of steps are just for our own you know, just that finished moment of seeing them together. You don't need to ever do these set of steps. We're going to go over to EQ, so we're going to arrow over twice, and notice that our regression equation is already stored in the calculator. So we're going to go ahead and hit enter. So what that's just done is it imported the equation with all of its decimals right into our y equals screen. So our trend line is in our y equals screen with the plot turned on. So if I hit graph, I'm going to see the plot and the line put together, which is awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and hit graph. I see my scatter plot, and I see the trend line that the calculator has calculated for you. At this point now, if you wanted to go ahead and plug in a value like a prediction, I believe the prediction I asked for in class is when x is 4.5. You have a few options. I taught you on the first day with calculator that you could use a table, or you could use the value button. So if I go to second, calculate, and value, I'm able to plug in a specific x value. So in this case, I get about 34.5 words per minute. And I believe in our class we had a prediction around 34. So we came very, very close. I'm going to go ahead just quickly and do the exact same set of steps in the other calculator because I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure that they come out exactly the same. So I'm in y equals, I went to vars, I go down to statistics, I go to EQ, I tap on that equation. It imports the equation, but it doesn't show you it in the downward, in a vertical manner. It shows it keeps on going to the, see it's showing you left arrow. The beginning of the equation is stored to the left. So there's the beginning of that equation. So it just looks a little different at that step. So I'm glad I showed that to you. And if I hit graph, it's going to give you the exact same thing. So this has been a lesson about how to do your scatter plots and trend lines in the graphing calculator. But remember, the most important part is to go ahead, oops, I didn't even notice that was slid over, to go ahead and find this equation. That's the big idea. You can tell I'm recording this at school because the bell just rang. Thank goodness I'm done because one of my classes is about to come in. Guys, have a great day. Thanks. Bye.